When people talk about why they enjoy being a dungeon master, they usually focus on the joy that it brings their players. It's a selfless gift of time and energy. If my players had fun, then I had fun. If you're completely dependent, though, on other people's joy for your own enjoyment, that's a bit of a trap. You'll eventually start self-censoring. It'll build a lot of anxiety and eventually some resentment. Then you'll start asking yourself questions like, why am I even doing this? Is this really worth all this effort? Maybe we should just play a board game or something else that doesn't require more of me. I think it's really easy for dungeon masters to take their own joy in whatever they're playing for granted. Hi, I'm James, and on this channel I talk about things that I think about, plan, and plot for my tabletop role-playing games. If you like that kind of content, then there's buttons down there for like and subscribe. I appreciate the support. It is certainly true that if my friends don't have fun, then I don't have fun. Nobody wants to be sitting at a table with 4 people that would really rather be doing anything else. And there's lots about tabletop role-playing games that I like that become better because other people are involved. But there are also things that I like that have nothing directly to do with the players. They may benefit from them, but I like them. I would do that anyway. And I think it's important for us to keep those things in mind so that this doesn't just become unpaid work and continues to be something that we enjoy doing that we can then bring and present to our friends. Being a dungeon master gives you a lot of different ways to kind of flex whatever you're into creatively, whether that's acting, drawing, writing. I love painting the miniatures. I find it relaxing. I usually turn on something like a Hermitcraft episode or a TV show that I can listen more than watch, but it's interesting enough that every now and then I look up and I can give my neck a break. I'm not about to paint a full Warhammer army, though. By the 4th model of a group, I'm usually ready to be done. By the 10th, the quality is visibly suffering. I found painting this many skeletons kind of tedious. I'd rather paint 1 model to a super high level like a dragon or something, or take 3 models like Hezru or Vrox or something and paint them each in an individual way so that I can use them in combat. The skirmish kind of nature of Dungeons and Dragons and using different units on things allows me to play lots of different models, and then I can take them and show them off to my friends. There is an element of ego there, and I guess in a certain light you could call it selfish, but it is win-win-win. They don't need these models to play with. We could just play with cardboard standouts or the dice or Reese's Pieces or something there to represent the pieces. But I get to do something that I would like to do anyway. I like painting, and I get to show it off to my friends, and they ooh and ah, and that makes me feel good, and they get these cool models to play with and display. There's nothing wrong with being good at something and doing it to serve others, but I also just enjoy this too. I can't write like Sanderson or Tolkien. Sanderson is more conversational, Tolkien is more poetic, but they can both write characters that are filled with meaning and they can turn a phrase. And I'm not sure that a dungeon master should think of themselves as a writer anyway. It feels a little bit like you're straying too close to railroading, at least for me. But I do think of myself as like 1/3 of a storyteller, the other third being the players and the dice. But I do like to write, and I've always enjoyed imagining different worlds. I've always also been intrigued by the histories of the ancient and the medieval eras, wars, epics, and empires. And I love mythology and fiction. I love magic, gods, heroism, and villainy. And being a dungeon master lets me mix both of them together. And while I may not be writing the next epic novel, I can create lore, that which came before. I am making up questions that eventually, through the game, we will find answers to. And when it's game time, I know no more than I would from reading the dust jacket on a novel. I know that we're in some sort of an empire that's Greco-Roman or Asian-inspired, and our heroes are off to save this civilization that's in the middle of a civil war. But in the shadows, there are dark forces that are lurking. And when my players and the dice have had their say, it's like turning the page on a novel, or being up till 2 a.m. and having to work at 7 a.m. and going, you know what, I could do without sleep today. Let's find out what happens next. The players are entertaining me as much as I'm entertaining them. I may not be writing the Odyssey, but if you want to play sailors that are returning home after a long siege, I got you. I'm going to need some special stuff. I'm going to need mechanics for managing your crew and managing your supplies. And I'm going to need some potential challenges in case I need to mix things up and shake up the game, like typhoons or divine curses. I also need some of the singular monsters that you would be disappointed if they never came up, like Polyphemus or Scylla. I'm also going to need some way for you to navigate around the world, so you don't just go, well, I'm over here in the ruins of Troy, and there's Ithaca. Let's just... Maybe it'd be interesting, instead of a map, we could do some sort of a star chart. I have no idea how I would do that, by the way. I'm definitely going to make a map anyway, because I need something behind the screen to keep track of where you are in this journey, because I am not doing that star chart nonsense. I got more than enough to worry about behind the screens. I do need to fix magic and re-level it, because if you get to 9th level, I don't want you just teleporting back to reskinned Ithaca. That would be kind of anticlimactic. I'm laying out all my tools like a craftsman before they begin their work. And I know some people look at all that and think, that seems like a lot of work. What if your design doesn't work? What if they don't encounter Scylla? What if it's wasted? No, it's not work, at least not to me. Yeah, there's effort involved making all these maps, monsters, and redoing magic and all that kind of stuff, but it's kind of effort that pays off twice. I have fun once when I'm thinking about all this nonsense, and then again when I present it to my players and they finally engage with it. And no, it doesn't always go as planned. It would be boring if it did. When you said you wanted to go to Ea to meet the sorceress, I kind of assumed that you wanted to talk to her, and I had some inclination of how the conversation might go. I did not expect you to ask her to be your new patron. And when my players do throw me some sort of a curveball and I'm scrambling to figure out how I could use the tools that I've assembled to create some sort of an answer for them, that's fun too. I have fun scrambling that way, and it's even more fun when I do manage to assemble something that players go, oh wow, he had that all prepped. Did we do what he had always intended? No, I didn't have anything intended, but I'm sure having fun with you thinking that I had something intended. And even if they don't do something, if they never encounter something, the work is never wasted. It's just delayed a little while. Entire dungeons, monsters. I had the entire Empire of Uldea and the Line of the Emperor planned out 15 years ago, but that campaign never encountered it. They never went across Hellsis Bay, and it never came up. Oh well, came up now in this campaign. Turns out the James from 15 years ago was really useful. I have a lot of different influences, video games being among them. If you'd ever like to see a video about like Appendix N, let me know down in the comments. Among my biggest video game influences are Final Fantasy and Legend of Zelda. Story-wise, I tend to lean more towards Final Fantasy. I prefer the epic scope, the ensemble cast, and the interlocking stories. But when it comes to dealing with it in a mechanical game sense, I tend to lean more towards Legend of Zelda. You have skills, items, and spells. How are you going to use those skills, items, and spells to solve problems? Sometimes they are role-playing kind of challenges, like how are you going to solve this dispute between 3 factions? But often they are dungeon magic kind of puzzles, like how are you going to light all 3 braziers at once with them being in different rooms? How are you going to create the homunculus while you're being attacked by the mimics? How are you going to get all the way to Death Knight with skeletal archers covering the causeway? If the player's fun is in overcoming these challenges, then my fun is in creating these encounters that they will find challenging, but flexible enough that there are multiple ways that they could solve these things. Video games tend to be very linear in how they solve puzzles because, well, you have to program them in, otherwise it's just not going to work. But in a TTRPG, I can often get away with not really considering exactly how they're going to solve this thing. Like in a video game like Water Temple, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, you need the Iron Boots. Can't solve the Water Temple without the Iron Boots. No way around it. But in a TTRPG, if they decide that they're going to steal the bricks out of the walls of the temple to fill sacks to weigh them down so they can get down to the bottom of the Water Temple, then yeah, I guess that works. It will double your movement speed going down, but you have to take the movement. You can't not, because the weight is going to drag you down. And if you want to go back up, because you're not just holding these bags because you said you wanted to be attacked, so they're like somehow attached to you by ropes or something, it's going to take an action to unlash them so that you can go back up. Or if you want to swim with them attached, it's going to double the DC of your strength athletics check to swim back up. Every now and then, this does create a situation where my players have a lot of fun And I don't, because I can see the flaws. I can see how what I was intending to do isn't clicking. Not that it needed to be done a certain way, but it was meant to challenge them. And it's just not. Like a few years ago, I did this Black Dragon lair with my current group, and they had a lot of fun with it. Said it was a great session. They really enjoyed the dragon fight. But on my side of the screen, it was really frustrating because nothing was causing the players to really have any sort of a discussion about how to proceed. They went with the most obvious things that they could do. Like at the front of the dragon lair, because of Black Dragon, I had this whole like magical briar patch that sprung up to cause the players to have to try to hack through it or blast through it or do something to get through it, pass through wood or something. And there were insects that were going to swarm out and attack the players. But that never materialized. They just cast Fly and flew over it. Of course they did. They were like 9th level. I really should have seen that coming. And then the insects were not challenging enough on their own. I think they bothered to use a fireball on them during one round, and then they were into the lair. And inside the lair, they saw the most obvious path, and they just went for it. There was no exploration. There was no discussion of this way or that way, because they never knew the other ways existed, because I had not signposted enough that there were other paths that they may want to explore. So it was meant to be this kind of multi-directional dungeon became a very linear dungeon, and I was left with this feeling of like, I could have done that better. I wouldn't necessarily call it fun exactly, but I do like that even after 25 years, I still managed to fail, and then I can find ways to go back and fix it. I can always get better. I did use that briar patch insect encounter with another group, but this time I made sure to give it a ranged attack so the briars could reach out and grab someone. And the insects didn't do a lot of damage, but I gave them a paralyzed poison so that if somebody was trying to fly over it, they might get attacked by the insects and then fall into the briar patch, or near enough that the vines could reach out, drag them back into their vampiric thorns and sup on their blood. Now the party would have to figure out a way to get into the briar patch to get you back out of it. And that redesigning, go back and think about how could I make what didn't work is really engaging to me. I am known among my friends for being super introverted. I'm not good with people that I don't know. I'm not good in parties and large crowds. I tend to sit there in the corner just eating the chips or finding somewhere where no one else is standing so that I can just look out the window and go, oh, look at me. I'm perfectly busy and not doing anything. Don't talk to me because I don't know what to do and what to say. My roommate in college, when he got a new girlfriend, was bringing over the dorm and told her, no, he's like a stray dog. Don't try to go in and talk to him. Just we'll put on Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings and he'll be like tempted out of the dorm and then you can meet him. No, I don't mind being compared to a dog. Dogs are wonderful. I do mind that she completely ignored Nick and then wandered in my dorm and randomly gave me a hug. I mean, I don't know this person. Why did my dorm give me a hug? That's weird, right?
I don't mind a bit. I'm not insulted by it.
My wife has informed me that that is not, in fact, weird. I remain unconvinced. I can't really do the small talk thing. When someone's talking to me about how much their kid is enjoying soccer, what they're doing in school, or how engaged they are in the work, I can empathize with them. I feel glad for them. I really do. I just don't know what to say. It's a me thing, not them. They're not boring. I don't know what to do and how to keep the conversation going. I don't know how to be an engaging conversationalist. So I just sit there trying to be polite, probably being more awkward than not, and kind of go, oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I'm glad. Okay. I don't know what to say unless I have that kind of like baseline interest where I can show, yes, I am interested in this thing. Other people can do that. They can be small talkers. They can make friends with rocks. My sister's one of those people. They go to parties, they go watch football together, they do something to make and maintain friends. I play Dungeons and Dragons. That's how I spend time with my friends. I put a lot of effort into it. My friends know how much effort I put into it, and I hope that that signals how much I value our time together. Yes, I enjoy it for its own sake. I would do it anyway. But I hope that when I am directing talents like being able to paint or the stories that I write towards what they're going to eventually engage with, that signals I enjoy spending time with them. I don't need 10,000 friends. My limit's like 7. That's how many people that I can maintain before like I start losing track of them and I can't be that social with someone. But everyone needs some connection, and connections need to be maintained. This is how I maintain mine. I've been the Dungeon Master for almost every group that I've been a part of since my original Dungeon Master left after high school, because I met people that I thought would enjoy the game, and I wanted to be friends with them, and I invited them over. Recently, one of them decided that they want to try to be the Dungeon Master. Actually, it's been about a year now, and they're doing really great, and I am having a lot of fun playing with them. I honestly am. And every now and then they do something where I am left going, I would not have done it that way. Oh, God, this is boring. Can we just move on already? I don't say it out loud. That would be really rude. Besides, there's other people at the game. They are probably enjoying parts of the game that I don't enjoy, including the Dungeon Master. Maybe whatever I don't enjoy is that Dungeon Master's favorite part of the game. I wouldn't want to ruin it for them, so I can be patient and wait for something to come along that I do have a lot of fun with. But it also makes me think, you want the game run exactly the way you would like it to run, James, then you just have to give up one thing. Being a player. I get to run the game that I think is fun. Yeah, there's other people at the table, and if they don't like a particular part of the game that I think is fun, then I'll probably drop it out or I'll smooth it out a little bit so that it's not that highlighted. I'm not going to try to force something that I like when everybody else doesn't like it. But the other 9/10 of the game are the things that I thought were fun, and I put them into the game. Everything in here is something that I find fun. For the people that have played with me over the years, a huge thank you. It has meant more to me than you probably are aware of. To the other people that are watching this video, I sign off with your player 2, try to have some fun, because I think we often focus on the player's fun, and that's valid. They are a big part of the game. They're what allow us to be Dungeon Masters. What they like and their enjoyment matters. So we talk about how to solve the player's problems, or how to solve the problems the players are making. All that's valid. But if we forget that this is also a thing that we do for our own enjoyment, then we risk it becoming a kind of job that we do just because we're required to do so. We risk burning out. So I think it's important that you remember what it is that you find fun about doing this activity, whatever game you're playing. There's something in tabletop role-playing games that you can find fun. And tell your players about it so they know what it is that you enjoy and they don't try to stomp all over that. If they're good friends, they won't do that. They'll at least throw you a bone and try to engage with the parts of the game that you enjoy. So until next time, Dungeon Masters, remember, if you're a player too, try to have some fun.
The best part about being a Dungeon Master for me is when my players give me crunchies for adventures. Also scratchy scratches on the bottom. I'm very tired now. Go to sleep. Au revoir. Go away. Bye-bye.